All right, getting into chapter 6 here, which is all about dilations and similar figures. So things growing and shrinking, basically, is what chapter 6 is all about. So 6.1 is just dilating in the coordinate plane, which is just the on the XY axis. That's the coordinate plane, right? So just how do you dilate? We looked at reflecting, rotating, translating, all that stuff, but how do you dilate something? How do you make it shrink or grow in the coordinate plane? So first off, dilation, I'm just going to say it's a shrink or grow, okay? More specifically, the sides are multiplied by a scale factor. Okay, so every side on the shape gets multiplied by a factor. So if the scale factor is 2, that means all the sides get twice as big. If the scale factor is a half, that means all the sides get half as big. It's actually shrinking. Okay, but scale factor is what you multiply by. That's a key thing here. Okay, but pretty simple today as far as the process, but let's just do 2 examples. One simple one and one kind of trickier one. So on my XY axis, I'm just going to make a triangle. Let's say 2, 0. We'll label them. A is at 2, 0. B is 4. What do I got? 4. Let's say 5, 4. Leave yourself some room here because this thing's going to grow bigger, so I do need some room up here. And then let's say C is just at 0, 2. Okay, so what was this? This was, 5, 4. I said 2, 3, 4, 5 right here, actually. Okay, B is at 5, 4. And this C is at 0, 2. Okay, let's say it's dilated by a scale factor of 3. Just going to make it fairly big. Let's say 2, actually, because 3 is not going to fit. Okay, we'll say dilated by scale factor of 2, centered at the origin. Okay, I'll tell you what that means in a second, centered at the origin. Okay, but basically all you really need to do is multiply. So A, you just multiply by the scale factor. So in other words, A prime, I multiply these points by 2. It's going to go to 4, 0. B, the actual coordinates just get multiplied by 2. So 5 times 2 is 10. 4 times 2 is 8. And then C would go to C prime, 0, 4. So you just multiply everything by whatever the scale factor is. So pretty straightforward there. Okay, let's graph it, see what it looks like. Here's A prime, 10, 8. This is going to be a little ways out. 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then 5, 6, 7, 8. So basically up there is B prime. And then C prime at 0, 2 went to 0, 4. Okay, so if I connect those, I should see it's the same shape. It just got bigger, got stretched out, but it's the same type of triangle. Whatever it was, obtuse looks like scalene, but it just grew bigger. Centered at the origin means it actually grew from the origin. So you can imagine this kind of exploding out. It's exploding out from the origin. That's maybe a little hard to visualize, but all these points are expanding out from the origin. So if I drew a line out like this, it would connect these. If I drew a line out like this point grew out like that. This point grew out like that. So they all grew out from the origin. So you can have different centers, but we're going to just do centered at the origin because that's when you can just multiply and it works out nice like this. If you didn't center at the origin, it'd be a little bit trickier to figure out the points. Okay, let's do one more example. Make sure you get this one down because this is the trickier one. Okay, let's say 0, -2, or -2, 0 actually is what I get. Call that A. B is at 3, 6. This one's going to shrink, so I'm not worried about going off the page here. This one's going to get smaller. And then -4, 8. 2, 3, 4. So that would be basically there. Sorry, couldn't see what I was doing. So negative 2, 0, 3, 6, and C will say negative 4, 8. Okay, we're going to dilate, this one's here, by a scale factor of 3/4. Okay, dilate by scale factor 3/4. Again, centered at the origin. Again, all that means is you can just multiply. Okay, so let's just take our points, we'll write them down here, and what we're going to do is multiply by 3/4. Okay, so maybe you can do this in your head, otherwise you just got to multiply it out. 0 times 3/4 is 0, but what's negative 2 times 3/4? Well, maybe you got to do it off the side here. Negative 2 over 1 times 3/4. Remember how these can cancel down. We've got negative 3 over 2, which is really 1.5, right? 3, 6, again, if you can't do that in your head, because that's a little tricky, 3 over 1 times 3/4. Just taking this number here and multiplying it by 3/4. 9 over 4. Okay, and then for 6, 6 over 1 times 3 over 4. I mean, you can reduce that down a little bit. 3 and 2, we're looking at 9 over 2. Okay, and then down here, you could go through the same process, but I do know that 4 times 3/4 is just 3, and 3/4 of 8 is 6. Okay, you know, you're really just taking 3/4. What's 3/4 of 4? 3. What's 3/4 of 8? 6. What's 3/4 of 6? 4.5. Okay, so if you can do mental math on that, that's good. Okay, let's graph her out. Negative 3 over 2, you got to change this to an improper. It's going to be negative 1.5, comma 0. That's here. A prime. This is what? 2 1/4, comma 4.5. 2 1/4 over. 1, 2, 3, 4.5 up. It's right about there. And then negative 3, 6. I think is about here. Okay, you should see this one got smaller. Should be the exact same shape though. If your shape changes, it looks like a different shape or different angles, you did something wrong. It should look exactly the same angles, just that it shrunk down smaller. Again, centered at the origin means they're all coming back towards the origin. Notice how this point came back towards the origin. This point came back towards the origin if I drew a straight line, and this point here came back towards the origin. So we're actually shrinking towards the origin, scale factor 3/4. So 3/4, if your scale factor is smaller than 1, it's going to shrink. And if your scale factor up here like this one, if your scale factor is bigger than 1, then obviously it's going to grow. Okay, do this one on your own. And your sign, you know, this is kind of what I'd like you to do today. There's no, just do this one on your own to finish off your notes, okay? Say 3, 0. Let's say 4, comma 2. B. And let's say 0, comma 6. 0, 6 is C. Okay, how about this? This is going to be a little bit different in this one. Dilate by a scale factor of 3 over 2. Okay, get your new points and graph it out. Okay, I'll let you guys do that one on your own to finish off your notes there, but dilate by a scale factor of 3 over 2.